want to turn now to the Democratic Senator from New Jersey, Andy Kim. And Senator, thank you for being here, because I talked about these flights and these airports. Newark Airport in your state, a massive airport, has averaged about 25% of flights being delayed every single day this week. Should your constituents, should everyone else who's using and flying through Newark be prepared for that number to get even worse?
Well, what we know is that we need to take action right now to be able to solve these problems. And look, we've been having these problems in Newark all year. We've been having a lot of problems as we've seen, continued cuts to the FAA from this administration with the support staff and others that are dealing with flight safety. But yes, right now we are seeing increased problems, and that's why we should be having negotiations right now. I'm here in Washington, D.C. I'm down the street from the Capitol. We should have stayed in session. We should not have recessed. And now we're at a time when the House of Representatives has been out of session for 40 days, over 40 days. I keep telling people in New Jersey, what would happen to you if you didn't show up to your job for 40 days? This is getting to the point of just absolute absurdity in terms of why it is that we can't just have the negotiations right now to be able to end this.
On the airports, though, there was a food bank set up in Terminal C for 1,300 TSA workers there at Newark. What do you say to a TSA employee who is going to work and showing up for their job and has to go to a food bank to get food for themselves, for their families? What do you say to them tonight?
Well, I've talked with a lot of them, and I start by saying, look, I'm sorry that they're going through this. I was a federal civil servant. And I had to work through a previous shutdown, and I remember not getting paid even though I was showing up to work every single day. This is the collateral damage that they are seeing. And then when I talk to them, they say, please, understand that this problem for us didn't just start on October 1st. This problem has been going on since January 20th, that they have been attacked and demonized by this administration. That they have raised their hand to be able to serve our country. They believe it's an honorable thing to do, yet they are constantly being pressured to be able to justify their existence and demonized by this administration. So look, they're going through a lot of challenges, but they know that even when the government is back up and running, that their jobs are not safe, that their work is not being valued, and that this administration is going to likely fire many more public servants even when the government's open.
Yeah, but do you think I'm sorry is enough for an air traffic controller?
No, look, there are lots of challenges that are facing and air traffic controllers and others that are serving in the government. They deserve better, especially at a time when, again, members of Congress, the president, are getting paid right now. I decided to forego my pay because, again, I know what it's like to be in their shoes. I was there before. So yes, they should be appalled by what's happening. We've been trying to push forward legislation that would pay, our workers to be able to address these issues, including SNAP. I support a Republican Senator Hawley's proposal to be able to extend funding when it comes to SNAP. But the reason why that didn't go onto the floor of the Senate is because as we talk about this in a bipartisan way, we say even if it passes, where would it go? It is empty on the House of Representatives, literally no one there. And so even if we pass legislation and we come up with a deal, there's no one at the House of Representatives to even take it up. And so that's the problem that we're in. They're not even showing up to do their job.
And what this is all over a fight over is the health care, Obamacare subsidies that your party wants extended, and says basically the shutdown is worth it to have this fight over the subsidies. And the president posted on Truth Social just a couple of moments ago, I don't know if you saw this, he just got back from his trip to Asia, and he said, quote, "As I have said for years, Obamacare is a disaster. Rates are going through the roof for really bad health care. Do something, Democrats." As a Democrat, what's your response to the president's post?
Well, my response is that I'm glad he's waking up to the problems. I wish it had happened on January 20th. I wish he put the kind of energy into this as he did the tax cuts for billionaires, because they keep saying, oh, we can delay these negotiations about the ACA until after Thanksgiving, which is what they were trying to do with this CR that they pushed forward. But look, first of all, we are seeing open enrollment starting in 24 hours. I have heard from people back in New Jersey, that people telling me thousands of dollars increase. Right now, the average in New Jersey is going to be a 174% increase in costs when it comes to the Affordable Care Act. So people are having huge problems. And the fact that the president is only tuning in now to understand this, the other thing that wasn't going to expire till the end of the year were those tax cuts for the billionaires that they were tripping over themselves earlier this year to be able to solve the problem of. Where is that urgency? Where is that urgency when it comes to working families, when it comes to their health care?
Do you think Senate Democrats are still united on keeping the government shut down, not voting yes on that CR from what you've heard from your colleagues?
Yes, I mean, look, we want to solve this problem. We want to address healthcare and meaningfully try to address this. And we've said we are ready for negotiations, and we have had some talks in the Senate, and that is something we should be continuing through this weekend. We should not have adjourned. We should be continuing on this fight, especially when so many are on the cusp of going hungry, of the healthcare now, as open enrollment starts in just 2 days. These families are making these decisions right now, and when they see that the Capitol is absent, when the president hasn't been in the Oval Office for a week, the question is, well, what is happening here to solve this? And that is what I hope the American people see, this abdication of leadership, especially by Speaker Johnson. I mean, no one has worked harder to stand in the way of American people getting relief when it comes to health care than Speaker Johnson. Shame on him for putting his own job and his own job security ahead of the needs of 40 million people when it comes to SNAP, in the face of 20-some million people when it comes to health care. Shame on him.
And obviously he would dispute that. He says that they've done their jobs. It's time for the Senate to do theirs. Obviously, we'll see how this plays out.
He says that as they've been out for 40 days. So I think the American people see what that stands for.
Senator Andy Kim, thank you for your time tonight. Thanks for joining us here.
Thanks for having me.